Hello, this is the 2021 General Math NHT Exam 2 question 3 of networks. So we have an activity network. It's got 12 activities A through L. The directed network shows the activities and their completion times in weeks. The completion time for J is labeled as X, so that's that guy there. We know the min completion time is 20 weeks. Find the value of X. Okay. So we have to find a route through the graph that takes 20. We've either got the 5 plus 3 is 8 plus 7 is 15 plus 3 is 18, so no. We've got 8 plus 7 is 15 plus 1 is 16 plus 3 is 19, so no. We've also got 6, 8, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, so no. So it's going to be 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and that means that J must be a 4 to give us the 20 that we want. So we could have probably been a bit more efficient about this question. Sorry about the ding. Sorry again. So we could have been more efficient and assumed that X had to be part of the critical path, otherwise we wouldn't have enough information to find the value of X. But, you know, just for the sake of going through the graph, finding all the routes through the graph, it's going to be helpful in any ways. So we know there are a few routes through the graph that are like 18s, 19s, which is going to help if there's a crashing question, which I suspect there is. Yeah, looks like it. So, you know, it's always going to be helpful to go through anyways. So there we go. X is 4 to give us that route of 20. Okay, complete the following sentences by filling in the boxes provided. Activity something has the longest float time of something. How many activities? Okay, so activity something has the longest float time of something. Rightio. So, okay. It's probably going to help me to list all the routes through the graph. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we want to know all the floats. And then we can reduce something. So, okay. So it's going to help us to write down the lengths of all of the routes through the graph. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to write them here and then move them down in a second. So it's going to be A, E, I, L. And then it's going to be A, D, F, K, L. Stylus help. Thank you. A, D, F, K, L. B, F, K, L. And then we've got C, G, K, L. And C, H, J, K, L. So not too bad. The durations, A, E, I, L is 8, 15, 18. ADFKL is 8 plus 7 is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. BFKL is 11 plus 4 is 15. CGKL is 6 plus 8 is 14 plus 4 is 18. And then that one was 20. So I might move that down the bottom of the page just so I have a bit more working space. So I would, in an exam, for reference, if I knew I had to do crashing and I read ahead, which you should do in reading time, and you get to the first question and it says to find the value of X, like we just did, and you work through all the routes to try to find where the 20 is, like we just did, you should instead probably just write down all the routes straight away to save you from double handling. That comes from, you know, using your reading time wisely. So you should have probably read ahead, seen, yep, I'm going to have to do some reduction in completion times. I'm going to have to write down all my paths, so it's going to help. So, we want the longest float time, and we've got, how many activities? 12 activities. So the float of A, so C, H, K, J, K, L all have floats of 0, and maybe we're going to write actually all of our routes, all of our activities, so A through L, just to make this a bit easier. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, yeah, whatever, we'll just write them over here. OCD be damned. Okay, so the float of A, the longest route that A is on is 19, so A has a float of 1. The longest route that B is on is 15, so B has a float of 5. The longest route that C is on is 20, so it has a float of 0. Actually, let's do all the critical ones first. So C, H, J, K, L are all 0. So C, H, J, K, L all have no float because they're critical. The longest route that D, F, K, the longest route that D is on is 19, so it's got a float of 1. E is 18, so it has a float of 2. F is 19, so it has a float of 1. G, longest route is 18, so it has a 2. Longest route for I is 18, so it has a 2. So that's all my float times. It's just another nice way to do it. So the longest float time is going to be activity B with a float of 5. So B and a 5. How many activities could they have their completion time increased by 2 weeks without altering the minimum completion time? So how many activities have a float of 2 at least? So B, E, G, and I, so that's 4 of them. And so again, I knew this was going to be helpful to write out all the floats because it answers question B and C. So it's 2 marks for one thing. So yeah, again, be clever about how you approach questions and you can get multiple marks at once, sort of. Okay, they employ more staff to work on the renovation project. This has ensured that no activity on the network will have an increase in completion time. However, the completion times of G and H are each reduced by 2. How will this affect the overall completion? So G and H are both reduced by 2. So if I reduce G by 2 and then H by 2, I'll do them separately. Reducing G by 2 will only change this one to a 16. And then reducing H by 2 will make that an 18. Is that it? Are they only on 2 routes, G and H? Yeah, I guess they're only on the C blah 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 routes. Okay, so reducing C and H each by 2, that'll affect the duration of the critical path, reducing it by only 1 because we have a critical path now with a length of 19. So reducing both G and H by 2, it will reduce the length of the critical path. Reduce critical path by 1 week. So certainly very tricky, but again, helps to know and have them all written out like this. So yeah, hope that all made sense, and I'll see you guys in the next one.